Hello and welcome back to Something Z, and welcome to If Naruto Had the Flying Raijin. And because there's nothing to talk about, let's jump into the video in 3, 2, 1.
Subscribe to Something Z, and hit the bell button to get notifications whenever this loser uploads.
Okay, so we begin this what if on the day of Naruto's exam, and he failed with him being unable to make a decent clone of himself. And when Naruto found out about the news, he was sitting on top of the school until it was nighttime. Then eventually Mizuki appeared in front of Naruto, and he told Naruto that he may have failed the exam, but there was actually still a way for him to become a genin. And hearing this, Naruto got excited, so he asked what he had to do. And in response, he was told that if he was able to learn a jutsu from the Forbidden Scroll, he would become an automatic genin. So Mizuki asked Naruto if he was willing to try, and hearing this, Naruto accepted the offer. So once Naruto where the scroll was being held and the place to go after he got the scroll, Naruto ran off to steal it. Okay, so now we skip around half an hour, and Naruto was able to steal a scroll, with him currently being at Mizuki's house. And when he opened the scroll, he saw multiple jutsus hidden inside the scroll, and after reading some of them, he eventually came across the Shadow Clone Jutsu and the Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. And for a bit, he was actually thinking about learning the two, because that was the jutsu he couldn't learn. But then he realized that it's actually a harder version of the jutsu he's been failing, so he believed that they were practically impossible for him to learn. So he decided to keep on looking, and eventually he was able to come across the Flying Raijin and the seal design. And after reading that it was prominently used by the 4th Hokage and made by the 2nd Hokage, Naruto wanted to learn that one. So once Naruto read the instructions, Naruto got to work, with him writing the seal on many trees as possible, trying to get it down and memorize it. Then once Naruto was able to memorize the seal to some extent, he began to actually use the jutsu. And around this time, the 3rd Hokage had just been alerted that Naruto had taken the scroll. So he then sent most of the shinobi in the leaf to find Naruto, which included Iruka Sensei. Okay, so now we skip a couple hours, and Iruka was finally able to find Naruto. And when he found him, he saw Naruto on the ground exhausted. And when Naruto opened his eyes, he saw Iruka standing on the trees above him. So he immediately jumped to his feet and he wiped the dirt that was on him. And he told Iruka while smiling that he was able to do it. And confused about everything, Iruka asked Naruto why did he take the scroll. And hearing this, Naruto responded by saying that Mizuki told him that if he was able to learn a jutsu from the scroll, he would be able to become a genin. Then before Iruka could respond, a giant shuriken came from the tree above them, and it flew towards the two, with Iruka beginning to move his feet to jump towards Naruto. But the second that Naruto saw it, he teleported to the tree that the shuriken came from. And when he teleported, he found out that Mizuki was the one who threw the shuriken. And when Mizuki saw Naruto right next to him, he jumped out of the tree and into the open. And he tells Naruto that he needs to give him the scroll. But Iruka shouts to Naruto, telling him that he shouldn't do it and that he's just being used by Mizuki. But hearing this, Mizuki shouts saying that he isn't the only person that has been using Naruto his whole life, and that Iruka and the whole village has been keeping a secret from him, which was that the 9-tailed monster that attacked the village years ago had been sealed within Naruto, and that's why the village has been treating him like a monster his whole life. Then another shock was his life crumbling down. Naruto teleported away with the scroll in his hand. Then once Naruto was gone, Mizuki and Iruka began to fight, so that the two wouldn't be able to come after Naruto. But unknowingly to the two, Naruto teleported himself to a tree that wasn't that far away, and when he was sure the two were distracted, he sneaked into Mizuki's house and he began to look for paper. And while Naruto was doing this, the fight was still going on, and eventually Iruka got caught by Mizuki, and he was able to stab Iruka in the leg. And when Iruka was on the ground, Mizuki asked him with a knife in his hand why he was defending a monster. But Iruka responds saying that Naruto isn't a monster, and that just because the 9-tailed fox is sealed within Naruto, that doesn't make Naruto the fox, and that he's still human. Then once he said this, he went to stab Iruka, but before the blade hit, a kunai came flying down, and it hit Mizuki's kunai, with the kunai getting flung out of his hands, with both kunai landing on the ground next to two. And with that, Mizuki looked up to see where the kunai came from. But when he looked up, Naruto teleported to the thrown kunai, and he was able to punch Mizuki in the face, making him fall to the ground. And when Mizuki saw that it was Naruto, he noticed that on the kunai that was on the ground, there was a piece of paper wrapped around the handle with a seal. Then he jumped to his feet and he tried to stab Naruto with his kunai, but before the blade could hit, Naruto threw 4 kunais around Mizuki, and he teleported to one behind him right before it got too far, and he was able to land another punch off, with Naruto being able to take away the kunai from Mizuki. And once Naruto had it in his hands, he threw it to the ground so that Mizuki had no way to hurt Naruto besides from hand-to-hand combat. So the two began to fight, with Naruto teleporting around Mizuki in the forest, with him being able to get hits off of him quite easily. Mizuki, however, had a hard time being able to predict where Naruto would appear, with him only being able to land a couple blows on him. But after a long fight, Naruto teleported to a tree on the left of Mizuki, and he threw a kunai at him. And suspecting that Naruto would teleport to that kunai, Mizuki took a step away, with him being too close to another tree. So before he was able to react, Naruto teleported to that tree, and he was able to punch Mizuki in the head with as much force as he could make. And with that, Mizuki got knocked out. And by this point, the sun had begun to rise, with it now being around 6 o'clock. And while the fight was going on, Iruka was trying his best to patch himself up, without Mizuki noticing so that he could join the fight as soon as possible. So wanting to check up on Iruka, Naruto ran to him. And when he did, Iruka told Naruto to get close to him. And when Naruto was somewhat close, Iruka took off his headband and he tied it around Naruto's head. head. Then once he was secured, Ruka told Naruto that he was now officially a Genin. And after around half an hour, Shinobi appeared and they took Mizuki to jail. Okay, so now we skip a couple days, and during that time, Naruto learned more about what he could do with the flying Raijin. So he put the seal on every kunai he had on him, and he placed it on important places that he goes to, such as school and his apartment, and also Ichiraku Ramen. Also, he practiced on how to get better at fighting by teleporting, which also allowed him to get faster at teleporting. Okay, so anyways, it's time for the gang to be put into teams, and all the teams will be the exact same as in the canon, and all the same things will happen between the 3 members of Team 7, with Naruto being able to catch Sasuke off guard thanks to the fact that Naruto is able to now teleport. And when it was time for the new squads to be given their team captains, Team 7 was the last team, with their Jonin being late, and when Kakashi appeared, he took the 3 Genin to the top of the school building and he asked them what their goals were. And Sasuke and Sakura's goals are the exact same, and Naruto's is mostly the same, with him wanting to become the Hokage, but with him learning the flying Raijin, he added more to it. So he said that he wants to be Hokage, but he also said that he wants to learn from the 4th Hokage, with him wanting to be able to surpass him. And when Kakashi heard this, he wanted to say something about the 4th Hokage, but before he said anything, he decided that it would be better to not tell Naruto. And once the introductions were over, Kakashi told them that they were done for the day, and that their next meeting will be the next morning. Okay, so now skip to the next morning, and by the time Kakashi gets to the meeting area, it's early in the afternoon. And when Kakashi got there, he shows the 3 of them 2 bells, and he began to explain to them the bell test, and he told them that if they fail, they'll be sent back to the academy. But when he talked about how the bells decide who gets sent back, Sakura pointed out that there were only 2 bells, and Kakashi in response told them that at least 1 person will be sent back. And when he was done explaining that, Kakashi began to count down. And when he began to count, Sasuke and Sakura jumped into the trees and they went off to hide. And while they were doing that, Naruto threw 4 kunais in multiple directions of the forest so that he could have an easy escape. And by the time the kunais landed, Kakashi had finished the count. And when he did, he found that Naruto was just standing right in front of him. Then Naruto began to run at Kakashi with him using hand-to-hand combat. But he was easily defeated and he was sent to the ground. But Naruto immediately jumped back up and he threw a kunai at Kakashi, which was easily avoided. But when the kunai flew past Kakashi's head, Naruto used a seal that was on the kunai and he teleported to it, with him appearing right behind Kakashi, and he tried to grab the bells, with him almost scraping them. But before he was able to touch them, Kakashi was able to jump away, with his immediate thought being that the rumors about Naruto were true, with him knowing the flying Raijin. And with his sensei being Minato, the person who got famous from using it, Kakashi wanted to test how much Naruto was able to efficiently use it. So he then uncovered his Sharingan, with Sasuke thinking how does he even have a Sharingan? So the two began to fight, with Naruto using the kunais by throwing them at Kakashi, and randomly around the area teleport to them to try to get the bells, or to just attack Kakashi. But with Kakashi being somewhat serious, he was able to combat all of Naruto's movements, and Naruto was unable to make contact with the bells. But then Naruto tried to go for a full-on grab for them, with him jumping for the bells. But Kakashi was able to counter by quickly grabbing Naruto and spinning him around, then throwing him at full force, which was strong enough to get flung to a nearby river, with Kakashi then thinking that he may have overdone it, expecting Naruto to have more skill. So then he went to check if he needed to save Naruto, but when he walked over to the river that Naruto fell in, he couldn't find Naruto. Okay, so now we jump to a couple seconds ago, and when Naruto splashed into the river, he figured that he wouldn't be able to win against Kakashi on his own. So when he was sure that he wasn't seen, Naruto teleported to a kunai that was in the trees. Then once he was in the forest, he then began to search for Sasuke, and then after a bit of time, he was able to find both Sasuke and Sakura, with Sasuke in the ground with only his head sticking out, and Sakura on the ground unconscious. And it was easy to assume that Kakashi was able to get to them first. And when Naruto looked around, he saw no evidence that Kakashi was still nearby. So Naruto then jumped down, and he helped Sasuke out of the hole he was in. Then once Sasuke was freed, the two began to wake up Sakura, and when she woke up, Naruto remembered the time limit, and from what he could tell, there should be around 10 to 20 minutes left before the time was up. Then the third began to try to think of a way for them to be able to get the bells, because it decided that it would be better if at least 2 of them would be able to graduate than everyone getting held back, and that those 2 people would be based on who they believe put in the most work and effort, with them eventually being able to come up with a plan after around 6 minutes. So once they were done coming up with a plan, Naruto gave the 2 his final kunai that he had on him. Then Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura spread out, so they were now stationed at the tree that were at the clearing, and when Naruto got to his spot, he saw Kakashi reading his book, with him now having his eye covered back up again. And once Sasuke believed that the 2 were at their places, the plan began. So Sasuke began to shoot out small fireballs at Kakashi, who was able to easily avoid them, and he then began to run towards Sasuke. But before he was able to get too close, Naruto teleported to a kunai that was near Kakashi, and he tried to grab the bells, but he was easily tossed. And when Naruto landed, he tried to fight Kakashi with taijutsu, but Kakashi was easily superior than him, so Naruto, after less than a minute, was on the ground tired, and Kakashi was going to knock him out by hitting hitting him one more time, but before he was able to land the attack, Naruto teleported away. But once the Naruto disappeared, what appeared behind Kakashi was Sakura, who tried her best to fight Kakashi, but she was easily knocked away. And while Kakashi was running towards Sakura to continue the fight, Sakura got teleported away. And next to Kakashi was another kunai, and at the kunai Sasuke appeared, with a fireball jutsu already charged up, so he shot out a ball of flames towards Kakashi. But just in time, Kakashi was able to jump out of the way, with him landing a couple feet away from the crater from the fireball. Then he began to rush at Sasuke, but again he teleported away, with this time Naruto taking his place. And this kept going on, with the three rotating in different orders, with some fighting Kakashi in their own ways, trying their best to find an opening. So after a couple minutes of fighting, Naruto appeared in front of Kakashi, and he looked clearly tired and kinda beaten up, but he rushed at Kakashi. But what was weird to Kakashi was his fighting style was completely different than all the other times previously, but he just took it as Naruto being tired. But while Kakashi was distracted, the Naruto lured him in front of a kunai, and at that kunai another Naruto appeared, and before Kakashi was able to get out of the way, the Naruto was able to grab the bells. And with Naruto getting the bells, the Naruto that was fighting Kakashi got covered in smoke. And when the smoke was gone, it was revealed that the Naruto he was fighting was actually Sakura, who had taken a decent amount of injuries. And when Sasuke saw that Naruto had gotten the bells, he jumped from the tree he was resting from. So now the three Genin were now reunited in front of Kakashi, with them wondering what they were going to do now that they had the bells. And they were wondering who would be sent back to the academy. But after a couple minutes of silence, Kakashi broke it by telling the Genin that because they worked together, they will all be staying. Since the whole point of the test was to see that if they would turn on each other, even if there are going to be repercussions to their actions. Then after he told the group that, the group had lunch, with Kakashi telling them that their next mission as officially Team 7 would be the next day. Okay, so now let's skip some time after Team 7 finished the cat finding mission, where Naruto teleported him and Team 7 around the leaf until they eventually found the cat. Anyways, while Team 7 was getting a mission, Naruto kept on saying that they needed to do more, and that with their talents, they, and more specifically him, should be going on higher ranked missions. And before they could get a new mission, the Third Hokage got tired of this, so he told Naruto fine, and he told someone to come into the room, with a guy with glasses and seemingly somewhat drunk walking into the room. And Team 7 was told that their goal was to bring Tazuna back to his home in the Land of Waves. And after Naruto and Tazuna argue for a bit, with Tazuna not completely trusting the abilities of the Genin, Kakashi stopped the argument by telling them that they will begin the mission the next morning. And hearing this, everyone agreed, with Tazuna then leaving the room. Okay, so now skip to the next day, and it's been an hour since the mission began, and the group was currently walking down a road. And after some time, Kakashi began to put his guard up, without anyone actually noticing. Then after a couple seconds, two shinobis appeared from puddles that were on the road, and they wrapped Kakashi up in chains, and they seemed to tear him apart. Then they immediately ran to the person that was closest to them, which was Naruto. But Naruto, frozen from fear, was not able to get out of the way of the attack. But before the attacks were able to land, Sasuke deflected the attack, and began to attack the two. Meanwhile, Sakura ran to Tazuna, and she stood in front of him in order to protect him. But before Sasuke could finish the fight, Kakashi appeared behind the two enemy shinobi, and he knocked them out with ease. Then once they were knocked out, Kakashi congratulated Sasuke and Sakura for their initiative. But once he did that, he commented that Naruto should have done something, especially when he had the powerful jutsu that would have made him untouchable. But before Naruto could respond, Kakashi moved on, and he began to talk to Tazuna about the fact that they were just in an attack. And with that, the mission must have been misranked, and that it's higher than a C rank should be. But while Kakashi was talking, Naruto zoned out, and he began to reflect on what Kakashi had told him. Then after a minute of thinking, he grabbed one of the special kunais that had the flying thunder god. Then he stabbed himself in the hand, and he vowed to himself that he would never back down ever again. Then after realizing he had just stabbed himself, Naruto got patched up by Sakura, who had to wrap up his hand. Then once Naruto was bandaged up, Kakashi and Tazuna were done talking, with Kakashi warning that if he was going to keep them out of the loop one more time, they will just leave him, no matter where they were. Then the group continued to walk down the path, with them after a couple hours being able to get to a bay, with there being a boat waiting for them. And once they began to drift towards the Land of Waves, Tazuna began to tell Team 7 more about what was going on in his land, with him telling them about how a corrupt businessman had taken over the land that goes by the name Gato, and that the reason he wants him dead is because he's building a bridge that would open up trades between his town and others, and Gato wants them under his complete control. Then by the time Tazuna was done talking about his home and his situation, the group got to land. So after saying goodbye to the sailor, they continued to walk. Okay, so now skip a couple more hours, and currently the group was walking through a forest, but suddenly Kakashi told everyone to duck, and hearing this they immediately did it. And the second they did, a giant sword came from the sky and it flew above and past them, and it landed right behind them. And when the group looked up, they saw a guy standing in a tree, and seeing and recognizing Zabuza, Kakashi uncovered his Sharingan, which in turn makes Zabuza recognize him as Kakashi of the Sharingan. Then Zabuza starts to surround the area in a thick mist, and when he was done with creating the mist, the two shinobi began to fight. And while they were fighting, the remaining members of Team 7 surrounded Tazuna in order to protect him. But after a couple minutes, Kakashi got trapped in a sphere of water, with Zabuza having one arm inside it. So in order to kill the Genin, Tazuna made multiple water clones, which began to walk towards the group. And seeing this, Naruto began to try to think of a plan, which he did, so he handed Sasuke a Fuma Shuriken. Then Naruto ran towards the Zabuza water clones and he began to engage in a fight, with him using his flying Raijin to teleport around, making it hard for the Zabuzas to hit him. And in the process, he was able to distract the clones. And just seeing Naruto teleport, Zabuza was stunned, because the flying Raijin was a signature move of the Fourth Hokage that hasn't been used since, so Zabuza was wondering if he's really just dealing with completely weak children. Meanwhile, Sasuke was using the distraction and ran into the trees, and he began to jump from tree to tree until he got to the tree closest to the lake that had Kakashi and the sphere of water. And when he was there, he undid the Fuma, and he threw it at Zabuza from behind. But when it got to Zabuza, he quickly jumped over the Shuriken. But when it passed him for a couple feet, Naruto saw it. So using the seal that was placed on the Fuma Shuriken, he teleported to it, making it so right now he was in front of Zabuza. And while he was in the air, Naruto grabbed the Shuriken that he had teleported from, and he flung it right back at Zabuza at his chest. And because Zabuza couldn't avoid it, he took his arm out of the water prison and he jumped away. And because of that, Kakashi was let go, with him landing on the water. Then once Kakashi was able to get his breath back, he told Naruto to get back to the group, which after nodding, Naruto teleported back to the group, with Sasuke getting back after a minute. Meanwhile, the fight between the two shinobi started up again, and because Zabuza was going back into combat, that once the clones turned into puddles on the ground, the fight continued. And after a couple minutes, Kakashi was able to get the upper hand, and he was about to win. But before he was able to land the final hit onto Zabuza, a needle shot out from a tree and it hit Zabuza in the neck. And the second it hit, Zabuza's eyes went big, and he hit the ground. And seeing this, Kakashi went to Zabuza and he checked his pulse. But when he checked, he couldn't feel anything, meaning that he was dead. So immediately the group looked up to see where the needle came from. And when they did, they saw a person with a mask, who tells the group that he was assigned to kill Zabuza. And after a bit of talking, the masked shinobi takes Zabuza's body and leaves. And a couple minutes after the masked shinobi leaves, Kakashi gets knocked out from overusing the Sharingan, so they lay Kakashi down. And Naruto and Tazuna continue to walk to Tazuna's home, while Sasuke and Sakura left to take care of Kakashi, with hours later Naruto teleporting back to them, and him teleporting them to a land of waves after he left a kunai in front of Tazuna's house. And that's where I'm going to leave the What If. I hope you enjoyed this new series, and I hope to see you next time on Something Z.
That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, click on the video to true left.